All right, welcome back. So we had hockey basically all throughout today. So it's a news video, the early review, this review. We'll get into more of the news stuff and the other stuff tomorrow. Basically, the regular schedule of the channel is going to be this way, I think, where most Sundays they have games during the day. Next Sunday, of course, Super Bowl Sunday, so all the games are early, which means that it's going to be different. But at least then I'll be able to watch the Super Bowl. So that'll be interesting. Wouldn't mind seeing how it all finishes. The Super Bowl only takes roughly 18 hours to play, including the pregame, the middle of the game, the halftime show. About 18 hours. And then the postgame show is about 6 months leading up to the kickoff for the next one. All right. Dallas and Carolina. Dallas made me nervous today in that they didn't appear to have learned anything, and then they fixed it. So the first period of this game was a lot like the last game for them against Carolina. Carolina, though, they're in good shape right now. First minute chance for Camano. There's an early Canes power play, and they score on it. It's Jordan Staal from Hamilton and Aho at 1:58. We then got a long stretch without a whistle. It was one of those games that just had a lot of free-flowing play, which meant the shots were only 4-2 for Carolina at 8 minutes. There's a power play for the Stars. Fantastic Canes penalty kill. No shots for that Stars power play. Dallas's power play, it is feast or famine, and it's looking like the sky's kind of dry right now. We might be looking at some famine for Dallas. And the Stars were a step behind in that first period. Hudobin then stopped Geeky. Canes get a power play. Niederreiter missed an open net. He'd make up for that later. Hudobin then stopped Lawrence, who I'm going to go ahead and say Tripp Tracy really likes Lawrence's game so far. Every game you'll hear Tripp talking a lot about how good Lawrence looks, and he is playing like a veteran player already. The Stars were mostly in neutral for that first period. Second period. At 30 seconds, the Canes get a power play. Staal was out as a result of that hit that caused that power play, and the Canes weren't happy. I don't know if they wanted more than two, but they definitely weren't happy after that hit. Hintz got a chance shorthanded. Canes get another power play. Hudobin then denied Hamilton. And then we end up with Alexiak getting a tying goal from Ben at 7 minutes and 47 seconds to make it 1-1. Now, coming out of that, the Stars end up with a power play. During that 2 minutes, the best chance was really Aho shorthanded. So the Canes killing off penalties, making it look easy. Reimer then stopped another chance for Camano. Stars get another power play. How did that one go? Well, there's a goal on it, but not the one that Stars fans would have wanted. It is McGinn scoring shorthanded from Jordan Staal, who's back in the game at 16:32. So that makes it 2-1. And that one went through Hudobin. I think Hudobin would have loved to have that one back. So it's 2-1 after two. First minute of the third period, there's a chance for Svechnikov. Hintz then had a chance that was denied by Lawrence coming back. So he didn't get it on the net because Lawrence pushed it out. And then there's a power play for the Stars. They don't score on it. They do get a little bit of momentum. And I thought the Stars, the best period they've played in any of these games, well, in the last two games against Carolina, I thought the third period was it. And they were good in the overtime as well. Cogliano scores from Como and Heiskanen at 7:38. The Canes then tried to answer, but Dallas gets a lead. It's Jamie Benn from Radulov and Hudobin at 12 minutes. And that was a nice wraparound goal by Ben off of a fantastic pass from Radulov. So Ben back in the lineup, and he gets a goal, an assist, and he gets a penalty as well in that second period. The Canes get a power play. They don't score on it. However, Niederreiter, I did mention he'd make up for that miss earlier. He gets the tying goal from Pesce at 17:25. Great play from Pesce to get it to Niederreiter. So we go to the overtime. In the overtime, the Stars get a power play with 2 minutes and 47 seconds left. The Canes, to their credit, they hold on. 4-on-3 power plays are more difficult to defend than 5-on-4s. But Carolina gets it to a shootout, and in the shootout, Vinny Trocheck scores the winner. So your final score is 4-3 in a shootout in favor of Carolina. They go to 5-1, I should say. Dallas drops to 4-1-1. Shots in this game: 12-3 Carolina in the first, 15-9 Carolina in the second, 12-10 Dallas in the third, and in the overtime, 5-3 for Dallas. Final shots, 40-29 for Carolina. Power plays, Dallas 0 for 5, Carolina 1 for 5, and remember, they had the shorthanded marker too, so the special teams went Carolina's way. Khudobin saves 37 out of 40, played much better than the last game, and Reimer saved 26 out of 29. Yeah, pretty good game. Florida, next up against Detroit. So I know Florida has a gaudy record. I also know how Florida has a gaudy record. And as such, I have not moved them up on the power rankings board as some fans would like. But it's how you get that gaudy record. And when I'm looking at them compared to other teams in their division, we'll see. They haven't played Carolina. They haven't played Dallas. They haven't played Tampa. Once they've played these teams, I know they were supposed to have, and then there's outbreaks that have delayed them playing those teams. But until they have, I know they can beat Detroit. I know they can beat Chicago. And I know they showed they can hang with Columbus so far. They do have Nashville next up, though, after this 2-game set against the Wings. And they're now 5-0-1. They are getting the points against the teams that they should. But until I see them against a team that, like even Nashville's below them on the power rankings right now. So, again, we'll see how things go. First minute, the Wings got a power play. Drieger and Stralman both combined to make a save. The shots were 4-0 Wings 4 minutes in. And they look good. And then Larkin scores from Giovanni Smith at 4 minutes and 12 seconds. It's 1-0 Detroit. The Wings get a power play. It's because Yandel wasn't happy on that play, and he takes an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. So, kind of yappy there. The Panthers killed that, but the Wings were in control. They pressed again at 9 minutes. They hit a crossbar. The Panthers pressure. They get a power play. And with 5 minutes left in the period, the Panthers got another power play. And those are the two that didn't succeed. But we go to the second period. Rasmussen initially called for a 5-minute, I think it's boarding was what he was given, a 5-minute boarding call. They did a review of it, and they dropped it to 2. Rasmussen, not popular with the Florida Panthers. I'm guessing that this is going to be one of those things that carries over from game to game to game between Florida and Detroit, as we suddenly have a rivalry that was kind of unexpected. The Panthers got chances, some near misses, but then on the power play, who else? It's Hornqvist. Hornqvist is so good at the net. From Huberdeau and Yandel at 2 minutes and 3 seconds, makes it 1-1. Drieger then denied Brome his first. At this point, Matthias Brome, I'm convinced he's never getting that first goal. He's a good player. No points. Good player. It's just not going to happen. And Brome, after that, got another chance that was caught, and he's looking skyward. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I can't say for sure that there's some kind of a curse we're going to find about, that there's going to be some kind of a movie about the Brome curse, but I'm not saying there won't be. And that maybe there's some, I don't even know who would have cursed him, what he did. I don't know if he stepped on too many cracks when he was a kid growing up, and just that's it. You broke your mother's back too many times. That's it. You're cursed. I don't know, but I'm convinced that Brome's not allowed to have a goal. The Wings get a power play, and the Panthers were really after Rasmussen in that second period. Like they weren't even hiding it that they were after Rasmussen. Post then for the Panthers with 6 minutes left. The pressure that was being put on by the Panthers did draw another power play in their favor, and they score on it. It's Ekblad from Yandel and Huberdeau at 15 minutes and 4 seconds. That makes it 2-1 Florida going into the third period. And Florida does what Florida does. The Wings almost had one at 2 minutes, but the Panthers were playing a very good trap early in that period, playing the 1-2-2. So 1 forward up, 2 in the middle, 2 in the back. So 1 forward, two forwards, and then 2 defensemen. I didn't mean to insinuate there was five forwards on the ice. Verhaeghe would score from Barkov at 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Verhaeghe continues to be absolutely scorching red hot in terms of scoring. And so that made it 3-1. There's a post for the Wings with 3:45 left. They pulled the goalie with 3.5 minutes left. And Vetrano hits the post on that empty net. And when that happens, you write it on the board because you never know. And it happens. Anthony Mantha scores from Ryan and Hronik at 18:12. They pulled the goalie again with 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Could not get that tying goal, and Florida never did get that empty netter. So Detroit loses 3-2. They fall to 2-6-2. It's been a really rough start to the season for Detroit. Shots 13-6 Detroit in the first, 18-9 Florida in the second. 12-6 Detroit in the third. Final shots 34-30 for the Wings. Power plays, Florida 2 for 4, Detroit 0 for 3, and that's the difference in the game. Drieger, 32 saves on 34 shots. Just another regular, standard, awesome game from Drieger. And Greiss saves 27 out of 30. So, yeah, Drieger just continues to put up some pretty decent numbers. Next up, Islanders and Philly. And for the Islanders, I don't know. I guess there's a lot you can build on coming out of this game. I'm still not sure where the Islanders are at in terms of their spot in the division. I know what the standings and the overall numbers will tell you, but I still think they can turn things around. But for the Flyers, they're off to quite the start, right? So early Islanders power play, Lawton had a shorthanded break that was broken up. Elliott denied Pulock, and then he denied Lee as well. Elliott got off to a great start in this game. The shots were 6-1 for the Islanders 6 minutes into this game, so Elliott was the one keeping it scoreless. Power play for the Flyers, it becomes a 5-on-3, but during that 5-on-3, too many passes. Something I noticed on the power play, Dallas was doing it in theirs as well, looking for the perfect shot. And it's one of those things where it's like, look, just shoot the puck, and maybe that rebound goes in. Just take the shot. Power play then for the Islanders. But the Islanders, of course, there was a rule coming into this game. If Ilya Sorokin's in net, they're not allowed to get a goal. They had not scored a goal for Sorokin. This was his third game. And I thought, I don't know if they're going to get one tonight. There was a shorthanded break by Hayes. He hits the post, but before the period's out, Farabee suddenly red hot again from Van Riemsdyk at 18:42. Van Riemsdyk's having a fantastic start to the season. So you go to the second period, offensively speaking. Power play goal scored by Leddy from Bailey and Pajot at 38 seconds. And that is the first goal scored by the New York Islanders with Ilya Sorokin in net. Good job. However, it doesn't stay tied for long. Farabee gets his second from Van Riemsdyk and Sanheim at 2 minutes and 19 seconds. And the Flyers are up again. Hayes drew a penalty. And then the Flyers have a power play. Sorokin made some needed stops there. Hayes hits the post for the Flyers. The Islanders then get 1 minute and 30 of a power play after there was 30 seconds of 4-on-4. They get another power play after that. Their power play today, again, kind of mediocre results for the Islanders, but at least unlike last season, they are getting their opportunities. Last year, it was almost every game was 1, maybe 2. The Flyers got their best chance during that power play for the Islanders. So the Islanders' power play kind of stuck in neutral at that point. Voracek had a chance that was stopped, and then guess who scores again? It's Farabee with his third. Myers and Van Riemsdyk with the assists at 15:52. So Farabee completes the hat trick. Van Riemsdyk with a hat trick of assists. And it's a 3-1 lead for the Flyers heading into the third period. But wild shifts in scores are kind of the thing of Islanders games now. So Bailey scores from Pulock and Barzal at 1 minute and 3 seconds. That's Bailey's first goal of the year. Sorokin then robbed Farabee of goal number 4. Farabee almost got it. And then Nolan Patrick was hit head first into the boards, which got the attention of anybody watching. You don't want to see Nolan Patrick going head first into the boards. He's had a really good start to the season. His headache issues, obviously, that's the kind of thing that could technically come back. And a hit like that could bring something like that back. So, yeah, we don't want to see that. Barzal would score from Lee at 6:27 to tie the game. So we're at a 3-3 tie at that stage. The Islanders pressed. The Flyers really needed to settle things down defensively. They were kind of all over the place, and they were giving the Islanders some really good chances. Power play then for the Islanders. And Sorokin, late in that third period, would deny Giroux. This was Sorokin's best game, I think, that he's played so far. We go to overtime. The Flyers were in control early. The Elliott then stopped a chance from Bailey with 1:20 left. The Flyers go to a power play, and they call a timeout. And it doesn't take very long. Power play goal, Hayes from Giroux and Van Riemsdyk at 4:23. That was originally reported as Provorov having the secondary assist. But NHL Public Relations let me know, and I put it on the board that it was Van Riemsdyk that got that assist. So that's 4 helpers for Van Riemsdyk tonight. And he assisted on every goal. 4-3 is your final. The Flyers moved to 7-2-1. The Islanders dropped to 3-4-2, so they continue their rough start. And in this division, it's going to be tough to recover from that start. Shots were 13-6 in the first in favor of the Islanders, 12-9 Flyers in the second, 10-7 Islanders in the third. And then in the overtime, both teams had 4 shots. Final shots 36-29 for the Islanders. Power plays 1 for 6 for the Islanders, 1 for 4 for Philadelphia. Sorokin saved 25 out of 29. I know the save percentages can tell you didn't play well. I thought he did. I thought he played relatively well. Elliott saved 33 out of 36. Solid goaltending is what you expect from Elliott, and you get. Next up, Columbus and Chicago. So for the Columbus Blue Jackets, they came in as the top team in the division. They don't escape today as the top team in the division. They are now tied with Florida. Florida's got more wins. Florida's played less games. Florida's the top team in the division, I believe, right now. I think, yeah. Because, yeah, Carolina's right there. They've got 10. Dallas has 9. Tampa has 9. Yeah. So the Hawks pressed at around 5 minutes, and Del Zotto had another good defensive effort for Del Zotto. I thought I'd throw that on the board. Del Zotto's off to a good start this year. The one thing that's notable with Columbus, Seth Jones is really struggling this year, and that has not changed with this game. Offensively struggling, defensively struggling. Defensively, we know he's not at the same level as some of the best defensive players, like a Jacob Slavin, for an example. But offensively, he can be fantastic, which covers for some of the defensive miscues. But this year, it's just not happening for him. Elvis was tested. The Hawks definitely had the edge early in this game. And Kurashev scores from Kane and Janmark at 12:32 to make it 1-0. And Chelsea Dagger started to play. Columbus pressed after the goal. Before the period's over, they do tie it. It's Boone Jenner from Roslovic and Foudy at 17:28. So Jack Roslovic, his first point as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. We go to the second period. Early on, the Hawks get a power play. The shots were 5-2 in favor of Chicago at 5 minutes of this period. And they again, really, really good game for Chicago. Lankinen denied Texier. Lankinen had another really solid game when called upon. And yeah, this guy looks like he's going to be the starter for a bit. Both goaltenders were sharp. Power play for the Hawks. Lankinen stopped a good shot from Atkinson. You get an extended 4-on-4 play, and then late in the period, Columbus gets a power play. So we go to the third period. Good Hawks PK to start. This was not a game that had a ton of power plays. This one had 7. This one had 10. This one had 10. This game over here only had 4. So that's good. I will admit I'm starting to notice there's a lot of penalties that are being called that I'm kind of rolling my eyes at, like that. They shouldn't be calling that. So it is to that stage where there's some stuff getting called where I'm like, that's barely anything. That's, if they're going to call, there's going to be like 80 penalties in this game. So this one didn't have that. Lankinen with a nice poke check on Foudy. I think what I like with Lankinen is his instincts. When to come out, when to play the puck, when to do something like that poke check, when to stay back. He's very good. His reflexes are good, and he thinks the game very well. Back and forth chances 2 minutes in. Columbus had chances at 6 minutes, but that puck gets cleared out. And then another good game for Lankinen is on the board again because he just kept making really good saves on Columbus. And then it's Suter at 7:41. And this is where the praise of the goaltenders kind of takes a turn. Elvis shouldn't have been handling the puck in that manner, I guess. Suter just basically steals it from him and then banked it off him into the net. So that's on him. And then 1 second below 6 seconds later, Kane scores from Kurashev to make it 3-1. And it was another mishandle by Elvis. And if you looked after that goal went in, you see his helmet do this. And when a goaltender does this, that means there's some swearing going on. I don't know what language it was in. Usually when the head shakes like that, I assume it's an English word that may be a descendant of a Dutch or German word. But, yeah, Elvis wasn't happy. And I thought it was funny, too, that the announcers even said, at this point, I think the Columbus guys are going to go over and whisper to him, just let us get the puck. Just maybe stay in your crease. But yeah, so rough night for him. Columbus gets a power play. They would pull the goalie with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. And despite some close chances and not quites for Chicago to get the empty netter, they don't need it. It's a 3-1 final for the Hawks. They move to 3-4-3, and for Columbus, they're 4-3-3. So you can look at it and say they're tied for tops in the division, or they've only won 4 out of 10 games. Gotta love the way the NHL does standings, right? Shots were 11-7 for Columbus in the first, 16-10 Chicago in the second, 13-12 Chicago in the third. Final shots 36-33 for the Hawks. Both power plays went 0 for 2 in this game. Lankinen saved 32 out of 33, was the game's first star, and Merzlikins 33 saves on 36 shots. If Merzlikins doesn't misplay those 2 pucks, the game might have still been going in a shootout. But anyways, now I got to change boards. I find that after I've watched a Chicago game and they've scored, they had 3 goals today. Anything 3 or more, I get Chelsea Dagger stuck in my head. So once I've done this video, I'm going to have to go listen to other music just to get that out of there. So it's not that I dislike it. I've kind of grown accustomed to it, and it's kind of fine. But yeah, that's something else, because all you remember is just the do. You don't remember all the lyrics. Just the chorus, and just a little repetitive. Speaking of repetitive, early on it looked like Colorado might do to Minnesota what they'd done the night before. See, there's a segue for you. Talbot was back, but Dumba, Johansson amongst the ones that are out for Minnesota. But Colorado has players out as well, and coming out of tonight, there's an alarming player that's out. One that I don't think Colorado fans are going to be happy if he's going to be out for a while. That'll likely be in a news video tomorrow if that's the case. Let's hope it's not the case. And Minnesota wearing their reverse retros, which proved something. The rumor that if one team's going to wear a reverse retro, they both will, not the case. Because if Colorado had gone out in their Quebec Nordique jerseys, as spiffy as they are, both teams would have been wearing white jerseys. So the answer to that is no. Strong start for the Wild. However, on the first shot, Colorado gets that goal. Donskoy from McKinnon and Landeskog at 4:34. The Avs get a power play, and ever since it became a 1-0 game, the Avs were in complete control. So early on, you're like, okay, Minnesota's got more jump. Then Colorado gets the game starting goal here, and you're like, okay, so this is probably going to turn out like yesterday. However, Greenway would score from Eriksson Ek and Hartman at 16-19 to even it up. The Wild press, they got a power play. And I have to say, it's around this point of the period where I said those yellow numbers on the back of a white jersey really should be green. I commend the announcers for being able to read who had the puck. Because on my TV here, I was, having a hard time making out the name or the number on the back when they were playing in from a distance. Like in close, I can tell, sure. But for play-by-play, and if you're in the stands, let's say we had, the full attendance for fans. If you were up in the nosebleeds, you're not going to know who has the puck for Minnesota. So that was just something I thought I'd throw in. If you felt the same way, let me know in the comment section below. If you don't feel the same way, let me know in the comment section below. Because I know people are going to say, well, that would take the reverse out of that reverse retro then. Not really, it's just the number. Second period, Victor Rask. Remember him? He's the one with the contract that everybody complains about. He had a good night tonight. He scores from Spurgeon and Suter at 1:28. The Wild pressed for another, but then the puck goes back the other way. And Makar gets his first of the season from McKinnon and Girard at 3 minutes and 31 seconds. So the Cale Makar versus Quinn Hughes, the storyline's still on now. They both have a goal, and they have similar number of points and a similar number of games played. Power play then for the Wild. They don't score on it. The Avs press. They get a power play of their own. But we go to the third period in a 2-2 tie. And again, Minnesota playing much better than they did in the last game. Power play for the Avs early. Byram had a chance that missed high. And the Avs kept pressing after the power play ended. So it was a very effective power play. Doesn't score, but they kept pressing after. And then they announced McKinnon won't return tonight. So McKinnon's out with a lower body injury. We don't know how bad it is. We don't know what's going on with that. We'll probably find out tomorrow. And I say probably because maybe. Saad would then score from Kadri at 7:09. So despite not having McKinnon, this is still a really good team. Despite not having, 6 guys are out right now? Really good team still. The Avs then get a power play. The Wild did kill it off. But the Avs were a step ahead. And some heavy puck pressure by the Avs. So when Minnesota had it, the Avs weren't giving them any daylight. No space. Which made this even more impressive. Kaprizov, he is fantastic with the puck. He thinks the game at a level of veterans. And again, sort of reminds me of Eichel when he gets into that beast mode kind of thing. Kaprizov passes it to Rask. Rask puts it in the net at 12:34. And that tied the game up at 3. So Minnesota's tied up the game. They then get a power play, which was their third. And then Miska stopped a 3-on-2 chance for Rao. Rao had a very good game, and late in this game, he was being awarded by Coach Dean Evison with more time. So Kyle Rao came into tonight as kind of a throw-in, and he actually ended up playing a prominent role late in the game. Overtime, it did not take long right off the opening faceoff. It's got to be those spiffy reverse retro jerseys. Brodin scores from Greenway and Eriksson Ek at 18 seconds, and Minnesota wins this one 4-3 in overtime. So another overtime game. We're seeing a lot of them. Today we only saw 3 out of 7, but that's still a lot of extra points going around. So, yeah. The shots were 10-8 Minnesota in the first, 11-7 Minnesota in the second, 11-10 Minnesota in the third, and they get the only shot of overtime, the one that matters. Final shots 33-25 for Minnesota. Power plays, Colorado goes 0 for 4. Very impressive penalty killing by Minnesota, but Minnesota was 0 for 3 on their power play as well. Miska, 29 saves on 33 shots in the loss. Talbot saved 22 out of 25 for the win in his return. And so Minnesota goes to 6-4. Colorado goes to 6-3-1. And since today I've gone back to doing my power rankings updated daily, so I don't go through what I went through last night. Yes, Colorado has now dropped out of first place based on this result. So there you go. Just a little bit of a tidbit for people paying attention. So yeah, next up, St. Louis. The Blues in against Anaheim. I fully feel bad for Anaheim. So last night I felt bad for Ryan Miller, and tonight I just feel bad for the Ducks. They played well. Gibson let them down, and it's weird saying that, but yeah, Gibson let him down. He was out goaltended. He wasn't the better goaltender tonight. It was Husso versus Gibson, and I saw that and I thought, all right, so Anaheim should win this with Gibson against Husso. Husso had a rough night, his first time in the net for St. Louis. Much, much better tonight. No shots in the first 3 minutes of this game. Why is that notable? Because 3 minutes into last night's game, it was already 3-0 for the Blues. So this is a victory for the for the Ducks. Ducks get a power play and they score on it, which is rare, right? Silverberg scores from Getzlaf and Lindholm at 4:54. They then get another power play. Fowler had a chance that missed wide, and I thought, okay, so the Ducks aren't messing around tonight. They come in 3-4-2. They're looking to even the record 4-4-2 and, get back into the conversation here. Raquel was denied on 2 chances. He's kind of cursed too. Then there's a post for Silverberg. Gibson stopped a chance for Sundqvist, but we come out of the first period and the Ducks are ahead. They're playing well, and it's good news. Second period, there's an early power play for the Blues. Anaheim kills it off. That's great, right? So you're like, okay, Anaheim's up 1-0. They've killed off a power play. And then Braden Shen scores just after the halfway mark from Falk and Krug. So at 10 minutes and 13 seconds, it's a tie game. Husso then robbed Agazino. Agazino frustrated in this game by Husso. And then it's Blais from Hoffman and Thomas at 14:59, and it's one of those bouncing pucks. Bounced off Hoffman's skate. Blais puts it in. I'm not going to go after Gibson on that because that wasn't his fault. Raquel then got a chance. Husso stopped a good chance from Steele. And then late, you get a power play for the Blues. And by late, I mean it carried over into the third period. In the third period, on that power play, Shen put this game out of reach. From O'Reilly and Perron at 1 minute and 7 seconds. And yeah, 2-goal lead in the third period against the Ducks is pretty safe. Post for Johan Larsson. Gibson stopped a Mikkola chance, and then it goes out to Parayko. And Parayko scores from Mikkola and Thomas at 2:17. That is Parayko's first goal of the year. And that made it 4-1. The shots were 5-3 for the Blues at the half. It looked like the Ducks were done at that stage. They played well in this game. But, yeah, it was a rough night. And Husso was fantastic. So, the shots in this one favored the Ducks through most. 7-6 in the first, 10-7 in the second. St. Louis outshot him 10-9 in the third. Final shots 26-23 for the Ducks. Power plays, both teams went 1 for 2 on the power play. Husso, 25 saves on 26 shots. That'll improve his stats from the last game. And Gibson saved 19 out of 23. A very un-Gibson-like number. If I reverse those numbers in the preview, in the preview last night, if I said Husso will save 19 out of 23, Gibson will save 25 out of 26, people went, yeah, fine. If I'd reverse them, people went, that's not going to happen. But hey, it's still early in the season, so anything can happen. Okay, let's do this. So the Oilers and the Senators were kind of rude tonight. And I say that because they made me go over here. I didn't use the mini board because I felt like there was too much stuff going on for the mini board. And so the Senators are now 1-7-1. The Oilers are 5-6. Both teams had goaltending issues tonight. A little bit. This was Skinner's first game. Koskinen gets the night off. I don't think anything that happened would have put Koskinen in net. I think Skinner could have been on fire, and they just would have told him, "You're on ice. Stick your head on the ice. Get back in the net." I don't think there's anything that could have seen Koskinen get in the net. Cahoon scores from Draisaitl at 8 seconds. To the point where my phone tells me there's a goal. I'm like, that's got to be a glitch because that's too quick. But it wasn't. The Oilers pressed at 2 minutes. They then get a power play and they score on it. And this is not the last time they're going to score on the power play. Neal scores from Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid at 4:15. I just want to say Nugent-Hopkins tonight, he only had 3 points. So a little bit pedestrian comparatively speaking with other players in this game. However, a little over a minute later, Colin White scores from Dadonov and Goodbranson. So at 5:38 makes it 2-1. So the Sens fight back. However, the Oilers go back to the power play. Murray stopped a good one-timer from McDavid, and then he doesn't stop this one. Barry with the goal from Draisaitl and McDavid at 7:20, and Draisaitl has his second assist, as we would start talking about how many assists does Draisaitl have pretty quick after that. Hogberg was in, and Murray was out. It doesn't matter. A little over 2 minutes later, real deal, James Neal gets a goal from Turris at 9:42. That makes it 4-1, and then another power play for the Oilers, and knock, knock, while you were going to answer the door, the Senators allowed another power play goal. Nugent-Hopkins from McDavid and Draisaitl at 13:42. If you're surprised that McDavid and Draisaitl had the assists, you didn't watch the game. And then, because this game's insane, it's 5-1 at this stage, right? So it's insane. So I'm assuming the Oilers are going to hit double digits tonight. It's going to be like 11-1. But the Senators, to their credit, fought back. First is Brady Tkachuk from Connor Brown and Zub. So at 16:06, Zub gets an assist in his first game in the National Hockey League. Kudos. Because they had Shabbat out. I'm not saying that's why they end up allowing so many goals tonight, but it can't help. So the Senators get a power play, and they score on it. So their power play, which came into tonight, won for its last, I think, 19. Some ridiculous number like that. Batherson scores from Riley and Tkachuk at 17:38. So Tkachuk gets 2 points in a minute and a half. And yeah, so that's good news. Then there's a fourth Oilers power play late. Keep in mind they're 3 for 3 to this point. So we go to the second period. That power play goes into the second, and they score on it to go 4 for 4. It's McDavid from Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins at 42 seconds. So this is where the conversation with Draisaitl starts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 assists for Draisaitl to this point in the game. Hogberg stopped Yamamoto 2-on-1 because Hogberg's still trying. Senators get a power play, and then they got another. Skinner stopped a chance from Paul. And then Nurse scores from McDavid and Draisaitl at 11:31. So McDavid, Draisaitl, McDavid, Draisaitl. This is your standard. These guys are scoring a lot. And that was on a delayed penalty. So this, and I put genius Sens. Here's why. So Edmonton scored 4 times on the power play. Now there's a delayed penalty. Well, if you allow a goal now, you let Nurse score. That doesn't count as a shorthanded opportunity. It doesn't count as a power play goal. They're not 5 for 5 because you allowed the goal during the delayed penalty. Take that, Oilers. That's legit what I was thinking when that went in. Chason almost made it 8-3. The Oilers go back on the power play. Remember, they're 4 for 4, but the Sens killed it off. Now, to show that the Oilers aren't taking it easy on them, because there'll be those who say that the Oilers are taking it easy at this point. They had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, and James Neal on the first unit. They were not taking it easy on him, and McDavid was on the second unit. So, yeah, the Sens killed off their first, and they celebrated by allowing a goal. Yamamoto scores the 8th goal for the Oilers from Draisaitl and Barry at 19:43. So that means Draisaitl's got 6 assists. We're going to the third period, and everybody's watching him because the record for assists in a game is 7, held by some guy named Gretzky. You may have heard of him. So you go to the third period. First minute, Draisaitl tried for that 7th assist. Almost got it. It was close. Then there's a power play for the Sens, and they score. Yeah, the Sens power play looked good, or the Oilers penalty kill looked bad, one or the other. Stützle scored from White and Norris at 8 minutes and 8 seconds. It went over Skinner's shoulder. And then 47 seconds later, Watson scored from Goodbranson and Tierney. I didn't think that was a great goal. And I think we learned tonight, if you watched this game, you saw why Koskinen's played so much. There was a play where Skinner kind of staggered in his own net, and I don't understand why he was was staggering when the puck wasn't near him. Nobody was in his crease. It was one of those things you notice when you're watching the goalie, and you're like, I don't know how secure I feel. So now it's 8-5, and it's the first time I've had to use last year's logo as well as this year's logos for the Sens, because they scored 5 in this one. So yeah. I was like, okay, so we're going over here into another column. The Oilers increased their effort, I thought, after that 5th goal for the Senators. Some good saves by Högberg in that 3rd period, because sure, and it was funny because Louis DeBrusk even said, he settled down. Well, yeah, after you've allowed the 5 goals, you can settle down and get into your game. It's something I used to say kind of jokingly about Corey Schneider in some of these games, where I was like, yeah, well, after you allow that 4th goal, you can just relax the rest of the night. Oilers had a too many men call. Sens go to the power play. And I kind of thought, if they make this 8-6, we might have ourselves a game here, because nobody's shown they can stop anything. Högberg stopped Archibald late. Murray, does he play on Tuesday against the Oilers? Who's the starting goaltender for Ottawa when these teams meet again on Tuesday? The good news is the Sens did win the 3rd period, which was something the announcers talked about beforehand. Like, well, the Sens, if you're the Sens, you want to make sure you win the 3rd period. They did that. They end up losing 8-5. They don't go into double digits in their goals against, but it doesn't look great. Shots 14-12 for Ottawa in the 1st period. 2nd period, 14-12 for Edmonton. And then 12-4 for Ottawa in the 3rd. The final shots were 38-30. Edmonton was outshot by the Senators in this game. It's bizarre, right? Power plays, Ottawa goes 2 for 5. Edmonton went 4 for 5. So 20% penalty kill for the Sens. I think it threw them off when they allowed that goal, and the delayed penalty just threw the Oilers completely off their game. Matt Murray saved 6 out of 9, and then he goes out. Högberg went in and saved 17 out of 22. Skinner saved 33 out of 38. He was congratulated by his teammates after the game, and I thought that was nice. It is possible. Skinner, maybe he's a bit nervous. It's his first game. Maybe he plays better the next time he gets an opportunity. Hopefully that's the case. 6 assists for Draisaitl tonight, and for Connor McDavid, 1 goal and 4 assists. So the Senators are 1-7-1, and I thought I would throw this on the board over here. In their expansion year, through 9 games, the Senators had 1 win and 8 losses. They'd allowed 40 goals, which is around 5 goals a game. A little less than 5 goals a game, right? They won their first game of the year, much like they did this year. 5-2 versus Montreal. Then they lost their next, and I stopped at 8. But remember, I put the first 10 on here, but they've only played 9 so far. They did lose 1 in overtime, so technically by today's standards, they were 1-7-1 through their first 9 too. They lost to Quebec 9-2. They lost at Boston 6-3. They lost at Hartford 4-1. They lost at Washington 5-1. They lost at Toronto 5-3. They lost at home against Hartford 5-1. They lost against the Rangers 3-2 in overtime. And then they lost to Pittsburgh 7-2. The 10th game of the season, they went to Buffalo and they lost 12-3. So the 10th game of the season for Ottawa is in Edmonton, who put up an 8 spot against them tonight. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. Should be fascinating. So if you're wondering, is Ottawa on pace for the same kind of season they had in their first year? Yes. And they didn't get their next win until game 23 of that season. I'm not saying that happens this year, but the numbers aren't that far off, really, in terms of the scores. And just for Ottawa, it's a rough year. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.